In 1980, the city of Sarnia had a population of 50,000 with a complement of 80 full-time firefighters staffing 3 fire halls and protecting an area covering approximately 21 square miles. There were stations 1, 2, and 3. The pumper trucks that operated from them were numbered 1, 2, and 3. It was a practical but comparatively bland description compared to how they were described back in the 1850s. At that time, our town's population was only 1,000, with a fire department consisting of 120 volunteers, members of the Phoenix or the St. Clair Engine Company, or the Beaver Hose Company. There was also the Rough and Ready Hook and Ladder Company. In the 1860s, downtown Sarnia experienced 2 major fires. The first occurred on Trongate Street, which we know today as Front Street. In 1866, many buildings were lost, including 3 dry goods stores, the exchange office, 2 grocery stores, a bakery and confectionery, where the fire had actually started and worked its way to Christina Street, south of Lochiel. Also lost were the Bell Chamber Hotel, 2 stables, a dance hall, blacksmith shop, and 3 homes. In 1867, another conflagration would destroy half of the business district, the block between Christina and Victoria, and George and Lochiel Streets. 19 shops and homes were lost in total, as well as the hotel, market, and post office. That fire would signal the end of wooden buildings in downtown Sarnia, but another 5 stores would still burn at the intersection of Lochiel and Front in 1869. In comparison, it seems that the firefighters who fought the Star Lounge National Billiards fire in 1980 did a great job to contain the fire and keep it from spreading further, especially given that 5-gallon milk bags filled with gasoline had been used as an accelerant in this fast-burning arson fire, which very nearly claimed the lives of several firefighters. Sarnia's first waterworks plant was built in 1876 along the river at the end of George Street. This photo depicts the riverfront looking north from Ferry Dock Hill towards George. Although it was built primarily to prevent waterborne illnesses, the waterworks greatly benefited the fire department. The waterworks signaled the end of outhouses and the beginning of fire hydrants. Those first fire hydrants could function with as many as 6 fire hoses attached to them at one time. In addition, the waterworks whistle became the new fire alarm for the town. Its whistle would sound a loud, long shriek, followed by 1, 2, 3, or 4 additional blasts to indicate what quadrant of the town in which the fire was being reported. In 1868, Sarnia purchased a steam fire engine. It arrived in March and was taken to Market Square with much fanfare to be tested. The goal was to witness the engine casting a stream of water a distance of 230 feet using a 1 1/4 inch nozzle with 100 feet of hose. It didn't work. The steam fire engine, it appeared, was a little trickier to operate than the older handbrake engines. It was 1892 before Sarnia decided it was time to purchase dedicated horses to haul the steam engine to fire scenes. Previous to this, the department had rented horses from the local livery stable located on Victoria Street, close to the fire hall, when needed at a cost of $10 per fire call. There were 3 sets of horses kept at the livery, and the first pair of horses to arrive at the fire hall when the alarm sounded were hired. The fire department horses became so conditioned to responding quickly and enjoyed being able to run so much that they sometimes ran right past the fire. The firefighters would then have to run the horses around the block before pulling up to the fire scene. 1892 was also the year that the fire alarm box system was installed on street corners. In 1980, if you needed the help of the fire department, you called a dedicated 7-digit number, just like any residential number, which was answered by a firefighter at East Street Fire Hall 24 hours a day. It's now 2017, but I still remember that old number, so I tried calling it just to see what would happen. It has now been assigned to a business in the Sarnia area, having been replaced by the number 911 back in 1990. In January of 1920, Sarnia purchased its first internal combustion fire apparatus. The vehicle had been partially built right here in Sarnia at the Lougheed Seagrave factory. This plant was located at the foot of Nelson Street at Front Street on the southeast corner. In 1922, Sarnia Fire Department would retire its last 2 horses, named Barney and Mike, and the conversion to motorized fire apparatus was complete. In 1951, the fire department purchased 3 new fire apparatus after the Ontario Fire Marshal wrote a scathing report about the department's shortcomings. The report stated Sarnia needed 32 additional firefighters, 4 new trucks, and 2 new fire halls. By the time I retired in 2013 and took my final ride home on the fire truck with my grandsons, I couldn't help but wonder what the future of firefighting in Sarnia would be like. Sarnia Fire Department, which is now known as Sarnia Fire Rescue Services, has grown to have a fire chief, deputy chief, 116 firefighters, 2 training officers, 5 fire prevention officers, 1 public education officer, and 2 office managers. Firefighters staff 5 fire stations 24 hours a day, covering an approximately 70 square mile area that contains residential, commercial, farming, and industrial areas. Sarnia Fire Rescue Services also provides fire protection for the residents of the Aamjiwnaang First Nation, as well as the rail yard, ships in port, our airport, and the 402 highway. Firefighters are now trained in hazardous materials response, water and ice rescue, shipboard firefighting, aircraft firefighting, high-angle rope rescue, confined space rescue, and auto extrication. They are also trained as first responders, trained to assist in life-threatening medical emergencies. The fire prevention and public awareness programs are second to none and have undoubtedly assisted in reducing the number of fire deaths in our community. Our department's equipment is some of the best and the training is second to none. Our engines are modern computerized apparatus. We have a 107-foot aerial ladder, a far cry from the wooden hooks and ladders of old, some of which were still being carried on fire apparatus when I started in 1980. The future creeps up fast, and if my young grandsons decide to pursue a career in firefighting, I can only imagine what the future will hold for them. I know they will never get to experience riding a tailboard on their first day because today's fire apparatus all contain closed cabs and jump seats, and trucks will not roll until every firefighter is wearing their seatbelt. Riding on a tailboard is outlawed, but maybe they'll get to fight fires on one of these new pieces of firefighting apparatus along the St. Clair River or at the government docks. Regardless, it will no doubt be an unforgettable day for them, and maybe now they will know more about the Sarnia Fire Department's history. If you would like to learn more about the now 177-year history of the Sarnia Fire Department, I'm sure you would enjoy reading Sarnia author Phil Egan's book titled Walking Through Fire, The History of Sarnia's Bravest, which will be available at the Bookkeeper at Northgate Plaza in July of 2017. By the way, the mystery of the 100 fire alarm was solved while researching information for Phil's book. In 1921, Sarnia City Council adopted a motion to change the phone number at the police station to 123 and the fire department to 100. These changes, which were intended to expedite emergency calls for either police or fire, were arranged through the courtesy of the previous holders, who agreed to give the numbers up for the use of the city.